It's my privilege now to introduce Ben Walker. Ben is a partner at A.T. Kearney and a recognized subject matter expert in the aerospace and defense sectors. Ben's going to give us his firsthand account of how AI has reshaped business and consulting from the inside out. So without further ado, let me introduce Ben Walker.
Thanks, Jake. This guy. Hello. Great to be back in Blacksburg. Absolutely beautiful fall day outside. Could not have asked for a better day. I think one of these days it'll be great to stand up here and say, wow, we won the football game this weekend, but nonetheless, here we are. I got the opportunity to speak last year, and thankfully they invited me back. Last year we talked a lot about different data use cases and ways we use data, and a little bit about AI, but as you can kind of tell this year, everything is about AI. So I'm not going to be that much different, but we're going to talk a little bit about how we use it, et cetera, et cetera. A little bit about myself. I am a Virginia Tech grad. I am an engineering grad. Got my business degree at a different school, but we won't talk about that. Have spent almost my entire career in defense and have really found some great ways to bring new and exciting technologies to that world. A little bit about Kearney, global management consulting firm, spread pretty evenly across the globe, but really our specialty is in strategic operations. So think of rewiring companies, making things faster, making things better, that type of thing. I got the opportunity to attend our worldwide partner meeting in Abu Dhabi earlier this year. And I think there was almost a silence among the crowd in thinking about what is actually happening in our industry. What we're experiencing today in this year is very akin to what happened in 1995. This is 30 years ago. Many of you may not even have been alive then. But if I think back to 1995, Amazon sold their first book on the internet. There was a Netscape IPO. eBay started. Craigslist started. Java came out. Windows 95 rolled out. Internet Explorer. I mean, I could keep going. There was a massive, massive revolution for the internet. And just the flow of information to the consumer in ways that it never has before. And we are experiencing that again this year. It is remarkable to see just everything that is happening around AI and everything going into the industry. And I am super excited about the potential it has and how fast everything has changed. If I think about the conversations that I was having in January of just this year are radically different from the conversations that we're having today, just in how fast the things are progressing with our clients, which is exciting. And for those of us that embrace it, it's just a super fun ride, and I'm just happy to be part of it. I have lots of clients towards the end of their tenure that are wishing they had this time of their life back to be part of this growth. And it's never too late. I always tell them, everybody can be part of it, but it's super exciting to think about the potential going forward. So I'm not going to stand up here and tell you about how AI works or get into the technical details, but I am going to share a little bit about some of the things that we're doing and that we're seeing with our clients in the consulting world and within ourselves. So I'll talk a little bit about Kearney Tomorrow, which is our internal effort to reshape how we do project delivery. You may see a lot of things in the news with other firms. There's a bunch of stuff coming out around McKinsey or Deloitte or whatnot, so I can talk a little bit about what we're doing. I'm going to talk a little bit about our product lab side. We have a product lab within Kearney that, if you think in the most basic sense, tearing down things and making them better, it's a lot more than that, but we'll talk a little bit about how we're using AI in that space. Talk a little bit about how we're working with due diligence, one company acquiring another company type thing. And then it would be remiss if I didn't talk about procurement from a procurement-centric consulting firm. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. So let me start with Carney Tomorrow. We have to change. Like, everybody has to change. But I want to say, like, no one is late right now. Like, everybody feels late because we're all behind. Like, there's lots of things out there in the news, but it is the beginning. And we are investing very heavily in thinking about our use cases for AI and how it can shape our delivery. I'm not going to say we're first, but we are being very intentional about how we go about doing it. And I could say, like, everybody should be doing the same thing, about being intentional about the business case to roll it out. Like, it is one of those things that if you're not intentional about how you do it, you can spend a whole lot of money really fast and not get the return that you're expecting. So if I think about some of the things, and I'll give you some examples, and some are not public, so I'll stick to the ones that maybe are. Thinking about our own operations, about how we do talent reviews, something that makes consulting firms very powerful is leveraging the knowledge that we have. And we have lots of knowledge around lots of industries, about lots of functions, and using AI to generate proposals, to generate approaches for projects, to generate a lot of those things, leveraging what we know as a business, is super valuable. Because a lot of times in the past, you would try to put a proposal together, you'd put an approach together, it would be a lot based on the network that you have. And this is going to be a theme in the next thing I talk about too, but you're able to leverage the scale of the enterprise most effectively. And even bringing these same things to our client. It's one of those things you gotta, eat your own soup, drink your own bath water, whatever it is. You have to do the same thing to yourself that you're doing on the clients, so we can all get better. But I'm super excited about how it's moving forward. There's lots of things out there, like, do we even need analysts anymore? Or do we even need associates, or whatever? But like, the answer is yes. Like, we do need all those same roles before, but to continue on a theme, the folks that use AI will outperform those that don't. And it will be very evident. And that goes all the way up to partners. Partners that use AI will outperform partners that don't. So, and it's becoming very evident very quickly. So it's one of those things that we are trying to get everybody to embrace. Now I want to talk about something super exciting that we're doing both internally and with clients. And I'm going to talk about our Velocity platform a little bit. I get excited about this domain as an engineer. I like getting back involved with the product space, with technical requirements. If you're designing a product, you are designing it with the information that you have at your fingertips. You are designing it with the network of people you have around you to design it. And one of the cool things that AI does is across the entire life cycle of product development, from like early stage design all the way into sustainment, it allows for a connectivity of those things that may have been difficult in the past. Like, if I walk into any business, I think 100% of businesses can raise their hand of saying, like, oh, I have siloed data. AI gives you the ability to connect a lot of those sources together, to think about, like, integrating lessons learned, for instance. This is super important in design, and something that's often forgot about because you may have learned a lesson 5 years ago, and somebody has retired or quit or whatnot, and you have no ability to loop that back into the way you do it. So I'm going to show a video. It's pretty cool. This is actually real, of how we're thinking about product development and taking things from that used to take months to take hours.
Let's follow marketing analyst Janelle and design engineer Samai as they collaborate with Velocity's AI agents to generate a new fragrance product. Janelle opens her opportunity inbox that shows proactive briefings generated by Velocity. She sees there's a new opportunity to create a fragrance product. To validate the opportunity, Janelle has insights derived from the company's product history across the development lifecycle stages at her fingertips. Once validated, she can then review and select which AI-generated product recommendation she wishes to visualize. Velocity then flexes its agentic workflow, using the output of one agent as the input of another. This is the connective tissue of Velocity at work. Janelle can then rapidly iterate on the product idea before generating a full product brief. Once created, she can gather critical feedback on the brief from user personas, representative of the company's target audience. Now she's got everything she needs to start collaborating with the design team. Now we take the perspective of Samai, a design engineer on the fragrance team. His inbox shows the new opportunity created by Janelle and her AI collaborators. Diving deeper into the product brief, Samai begins collaborating with his colleagues and AI teammates. Samai enlists the help of multiple agents to provide technical insights and augment his team's capabilities, drastically accelerating the product brief from idea to validation. Velocity has enabled this beauty brand to accelerate NPD from 0 to 1 in minutes instead of months.
So just super cool instance here of things that we can actually do with AI. And some of the background is accelerated here because it all depends on how fast your compute goes, et cetera. But you see how the workflow of the business can be drastically accelerated. And we use a fragrance product, which is pretty basic, to just to show the ability to connect consumer sentiment, of which instead of using a sampling size before, you're using a sample size of all around sentiment, but flowing that all the way through to the design team to make changes. A lot of people say like, oh, this can only be done in consumer products and all that stuff. We're actually looking at opportunities to apply this in defense right now in protected environments and all that stuff to do the same thing. And actually more on the operations side around design for supply chain, design for manufacturing. It's really cool to see what we can do and how fast this stuff can iterate. So I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about diligence. Due diligence, the process to evaluate one company based on another company buying them, whether it's a private equity firm or a strategic or something else out there. You would not believe the amount of diligence processes these businesses go through every year. And they pay lots of money to consulting firms, to investment banks, to whatnot, to go through this diligence process to really understand what they're getting. A lot of times to not even go through with the transaction. And for those of you that have seen this or done this or mocked it up in business school or whatnot, a lot of the content is you do at the same time. How big is the market? Is it growing? Who are the competitors? What's the barriers to entry? A lot of the same things that you would do in any business school case study. So we've actually proven the ability to use this tool, which is getting better every day and every time we do this diligence, to take something that used to take 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the complexity, to done in 4 days. And the only reason it takes 4 days and not 2 hours is because this last column here, this human synthesis to vet the analysis, that is a really important step. These are very big decisions. And I'm not saying that just for the diligence aspect in M&A. I mean, a lot of things that AI is applied for are really important. And you can't let it just make the decision for you. So there is a process to go through and iterate and really make sure we're giving the right answer. And that answer isn't always obvious. So that is an important step of the process, and I can't emphasize the quality check point of it enough. And lastly, talking about Agent Kai, we do a lot of like procurement and sourcing work of where you're engaging the market quickly, you're trying to see what goes on, and that stuff can be automated so quickly and stuff that we can actually deliver to our clients. If you think about trends in the market, helping somebody to go make a decision or act in a certain way. This happened over here in Europe, causing some kind of big change in price of a good. I'm sure none of you have heard that over the last 9 months. But actually giving like actionable insights to say, oh, you have a category management team in charge of metals. Like, what should the metals team go do next? And what information does the metals team need to go act on to say, like, should I buy lots of steel? Should I wait to buy lots of steel? These are the types of things that we can do very quickly and deploy very quickly on our project teams that used to be very manual. So we're super excited about it. So I wanted to give just a few examples here, just quickly. They're certainly not exhaustive for all the things that we're working on, but I am very, very excited about where this is heading and very lucky to be leading a lot of these initiatives because I think they're absolutely game-changing for some of the things that we can do and a lot of the things that those of us that have been in the industry for a long time are very frustrated with. Pace of innovation is slow, too costly, can't get technology out to the person that needs it, and in a lot of my cases, like getting it to the warfighter who needs it faster. So being able to be part of changing that ecosystem is really cool. And I realize I'm the last one standing between you and lunch, so I'll close with a video and then open it for questions.
Millions of Americans own a personal computer. If you're one of them, you can now glimpse the future with nothing more than a modem, a phone line, and a few dollars a month.
Just what is this main artery of the information superhighway?
Every business, no matter how large, no matter how small, will be on the internet in the year 2000.
Yeah, we showed that video at our worldwide partner meeting earlier this year to kick off what was a lot of discussion around AI, but we're super excited about it and super excited where this could take us. So appreciate you having me and look forward to any questions. Yeah, I think we got a couple minutes, right, Jay? Yeah. Yep. Sorry, I have a hard time seeing, so if anybody's in the back, you gotta like wave really high.
Sorry, I want to thank you for coming, and I'm also wondering, being in consulting and doing something like this where it's a technology where there are versions available, open and for free on the internet, how do you manage with integrity how much of the value you're passing along to your clients versus how much you're retaining for your own competitive advantage?
So the question was, with how much is available publicly, how do we maintain integrity for what we're passing along to our clients, correct? There are a lot of things that are, I'll call it like more routine, based on what's available publicly. And when we do delivery, we have this question and this discussion all the time about, can even consultants be replaced? There are a lot of things that can be AI generated. And our clients even expect it. Like if I'm creating a job description for a new organization we're standing up, for instance, like there are millions of job descriptions online that we can create the template to go do. I think there's a couple things that can't be replaced. There's generating the courage to go do something and really making sure that it's right. And that's something that's never really gonna be replaced as far as the consulting industry is concerned. How that public data is manifesting into the industry is actually being able to deliver for less. So if I think of something that took 10 weeks before, like it's not going to take 10 weeks into the future. Like if we were just gonna say, hey, I'm gonna take 10 weeks and deliver this with AI and go, sit on 5 weeks of profit, like that is not how this industry works. Like I'm gonna go tell you that I'm gonna deliver this in 5 weeks instead of 10 weeks because of the capabilities I have with AI. And so you might think like, yes, we're all kind of like sitting back and delivering what we can from a publicly available information standpoint. But it is manifesting into actually like better, faster, cheaper delivery of the things that we can do. Now, I will say there's certainly an art to being able to use the public information, and we have tools that we've developed in-house to help with contextualizing how you actually integrate with those models. Prompting is a very important thing to do. And I think once you've learned from people who are really, really good at it, your mind just like explodes. So, how do you marry the stuff that we know that's proprietary internally with our expert network, with the stuff that's available publicly to make the right decision for a client, because these are decisions that really matter. Sir.
Thank you for the presentation. I was wondering, how was your experience transitioning from engineering background roles to consulting, and what was your strategy coping with that transition?
Sure. The question was, how did I transition from engineering into consulting, and how was that transition? Honestly, the transition was pretty easy. The engineering school here is fantastic, so give them credit for that. But at the end of the day, you're just solving problems. And I think the harder transition I had was the pace at which we work. I worked in industry for a little while at various companies, and the pace at which industry operates versus the pace at which high-value consulting operates was much more of a transition than the engineering itself. We actually have a lot of engineers at Carney to go do it, and I think some of my early times in the industry, talking a lot about process and that stuff, didn't get me as excited as getting involved in some of the technical aspects. But now that we've sort of evolved and grown to have this technical capability as well, satisfies that for me. So, we're doing some really cool stuff. We actually had a startup called PhysicsX that actually partnered with Formula One to create, we call it evidence-based base models that AI can do and create inference off of to basically do almost like week-long CFD in a matter of minutes. So you can generate like, oh, I would like an aircraft that does this, and they can actually do that. So talking about embedding it with velocity of like we did, you can actually talk about like, oh, what would this mean from a supply chain standpoint? And which part should I use? Because I've got an agreement with this supplier, but not this supplier. And you can start doing those iterations in product design really, really fast. I'll give you one more analogy that I like to use. And a lot of the consulting world has historically been focused on process and the management of the business and all that stuff. And it's sort of like showing up to a crime scene and asking everybody else what happened at the crime scene without actually going to the crime scene itself. Whereas like if you evaluate a product, you can now like visit the crime scene and forensically determine all the badness and all the goodness of the business by going that way, which I find really exciting. Yeah.
You talked about a 3 or 4 stage process, the end of which was humans checking like the output of the AI system you presented on. And I was wondering what is included in that process and how, I mean, to the extent you can talk about it, like how do you check some of these things that are, being put together so quickly and sometimes, I don't know, how do you do it?
No, appreciate the question because it is a hot topic right now. You've seen a lot of things in the news of like consulting issuing AI-generated reports riddled with errors. Like that is the last thing that we want to do, and I would say like we are very proud of our quality assurance process. And it goes everything from like, being able to selectively trace source data to the end product, but it always goes down to like subject matter review. And like you have to get experts that know the industry, know what's going on, know the clients, to really take a detailed read through everything, like word by word, line by line, to make sure what you're presenting is right. And like that process is so critical. And like I do it every day with my projects. Like we are very much involved at the senior level with quality assurance. And we just have to make that a priority with everything and can't get lazy and assume it's right. Because AI is very confidently wrong. So we need to be confidently quality checking it at the same time. Yeah.
For consulting projects, marketing strategies, or business plans, how would you describe the gap between AI-generated suggestions and those generated by human consultants?
I would say, if you asked me a year ago what the gap was, I would say it's much bigger than the gap today. A lot of it comes down to the data sources you're using and how you craft your prompts. If you haven't taken a prompting class, like please go do that. But like how you structure all of that, you can get pretty close. I think there's some lack of creativity because it's basing the output based on everything that's already happened in the past. And some of the models are getting better at being creative, but like some of that creativity, especially on the marketing side, like takes a group of people to go think about, especially when it's like really, really new. Now, can it help ideation and help brainstorming and help do things a lot faster? 100%. Or test ideas, great thing. But it is certainly a tool that is closing that gap fast. Take one more if there is one. You guys just ready for lunch? Sir?
With the clients you currently serve, what are you seeing as the biggest concerns that they're bringing to you around AI?
The question was, what are the biggest concerns for the clients that I serve around AI? I think I've heard it all from like my workforce isn't ready to, you name it. But the biggest ones are data quality, like underlying data quality. Like what will the agent actually be able to do if I don't have good data. And that is certainly an issue. It's certainly an issue whether you're using AI or using like Excel. You know, if you don't have basic data quality, it's going to hurt the development of whatever you're doing. Now, it shouldn't preclude you from doing something. And a lot of that times, like, a halfway answer is better than no answer, and it starts the continuous improvement process of your data quality to actually go and do something. And getting that process started of people like, oh, maybe I should use my ERP system like correctly, or maybe I should actually start recording things. That process and organizational culture has to be embedded in everything you do for the AI model to get better and more effective. The second one is around like audit traceability, in making sure that the decision the AI agent is making is auditable. Like if I think about like agents making buys, for instance, of goods, if you're doing anything for the government, you have to have a rationale for why you bought something. So you can't have the model just go into a black box somewhere and be like, oh yeah, it's this supplier. You need to go purchase this, and it'll cost $10 million. You have to have an audit trail for all that to be. And you could do some of that agentically as well. Like you can have an audit agent sitting on top of your procurement agent, so actually logging the things that happen. But that is a big concern as well. Great. Hey, thank you all so much. Appreciate being here. Enjoy the day.